And we are live. Hello, good morning. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday with Jerry Sr. and Jerry Jr.
Good morning.
And another beautiful Saturday morning. And it's spring, at least it feels like spring. It's officially spring, I think. And,
The
it's not.
groundhog is officially unafraid.
I hope so because, here in Southern California, it's a bit temperamental. So, one week it'll be spring, the next week it'll be winter again. So,
That's true.
so far this weekend it is spring. So we'll see how it is next week, right? Hopefully
Yeah.
it's be spring. But yeah, so another beautiful day. As you know, any day above ground is a good day. So happy to be here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking in with us. And we got a few things we're going to talk about. As you see in the title today, the interwebs blew up because there's a lot to talk about. And
Yeah.
the first thing we're going to talk about, though, is the trailer for the movie, the Looney Tunes movie, the debut.
So I don't know if you're aware, Dad, but the movie, well, came out yet. All right, came out already.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if you actually got to see what it looks like because it looks really good.
Yeah, I've seen some teasers and the trailer. Actually, I haven't seen the trailer. I've seen teasers,
No, well, here's
and
the trailer right here. Hold on a
it's
second.
actually looks good. It looks like it's probably going to be funny. I always like Looney Tunes, so
I mean,
I
I don't
can't
know
see how you
anybody
can go
who
wrong
doesn't
with it.
like the Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I agree. So,
So this is the
you know,
trailer right here for anybody who hasn't seen it.
yeah, let's check it out.
For generations, you laughed with them, you cried with them, and watched them grow. In 2025, they're coming to the big screen like never before.
Daffy. Oh, sorry. I barely even know you. We're not afraid of nothing. What? Here's the script. Catch up on your own time. We have to act
Here's
fast,
the
and there's
script.
only one person that can do the job. Daffy Duck.
Mhm.
Daffy?
Oh no, not the
no,
duck!
man.
The duck!
That's right. The duck.
You gotta be kidding me. Who greenlit this garbage?
He walks out of the
Who's
theater.
there? Get it off me! Get it off me! Get it off me! Get it off me! Oh, is it over?
Okay, so that was in fact funny.
Not bad. Yeah, I mean, it's Looney Tunes. They got
Yeah.
all the gags we're used to. Even breaking the fourth wall. I mean, yeah. So, but
So what's
I heard it
unfortunate?
didn't do great though, right?
Well, here's the thing: is that Warner Brothers barely promoted the movie, if not at all. They didn't promote the movie at all. I've seen billboards, but I mean nobody looks at billboards anymore. But like, and that's really about it. I mean, the general consensus nowadays is that Warner Brothers does not care about Looney Tunes, which is a really bad sign, considering that Warner Brothers. It's like if Disney stopped caring about Mickey Mouse, right? Like that's not a good sign. Which,
Yeah,
to
I
be fair,
agree.
I feel like they kind of have, but we got a new Mickey Mouse show. But this, like, we haven't gotten any new Looney Tunes material in forever, and the stuff that they've been trying to come out with, like there was a Wile E. Coyote movie that was supposed to come out, but they shelved.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it's not officially shelved now. They've sold it to Catch Up Entertainment, I believe.
yeah, it's the same studio. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
I remember that. But
yeah, so it should be interesting to see because I'm guessing if they're buying it, they're going to release it. So that'll be nice. So hopefully it won't stay shelved, right? And we'll get because that to me that sounds more intriguing than this one because I love the Roadrunner and I love Wile E. Coyote and the whole thing is hilarious. And to have him sue the Acme Corporation, right, for all
yeah,
the gadgets that went wrong. That's actually quite brilliant. I think. I'm surprised they haven't done it earlier. Haven't done it yet. So that I think that could be a lot of fun. I hope it's well written. So I know I think John Cena is in it. He's I think he plays the attorney that represents Wile E. Coyote. So
What?
yeah, so and he's okay. He's kind of a funny guy. So
Oh, I know. It's just
yeah, hopefully
fun.
it'll be fun, right? It'll be a fun movie with a lot of good laughable moments, and so I'm kind of excited that they're buying it, and I hope that I hope they market it better. But I think that movie would do better because it was shelved, right, and held back, and a lot of people didn't like that, and so they were very vocal about it. A lot of fans, and I think that may have been what pushed them to sell it, and I think they can ride that wave because it's supposed to release next year
Oh, really?
because it's finished. It's not like it's still in production, right? So
Oh, if it's finished, they should release it this year.
yeah. So well, yeah, we'll see, right? But yeah, that's kind of interesting. So I think it might do better box office wise because of that sort of groundswell of support that people had for it, and they're
Yeah.
local online. So hopefully that will translate to people actually going out to see it, right? We'll see. But the day the Earth blew up, it's out. So far, I don't think it's doing great though. So far,
Well, no, because nobody knows. I mean, nobody. They
unfortunately.
haven't been promoting it.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen a lot of promotions of it. The only thing I've seen is what's been posted on X, and usually that's from it being shared by someone, right?
Yeah.
And that's only been maybe a couple of times, right? Like I haven't seen it like a constant barrage where usually you see trailers being posted, stuff like that, teasers. Um, so yeah, I don't think so. And I haven't seen any billboards either. No bench ads, no
Oh,
billboards.
there's a billboard in downtown
There
where I
is.
work at. Yeah. But that's it. That's the only thing I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen any my part of town. So basically, so yeah, that's unfortunate because it probably would have done a lot better. It's a nice family movie. Plus, I wonder why they're releasing it now versus around the holidays, like right before Christmas or something. To me, that would make more sense, because
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
family
there was a lot
movie.
of competition, but yeah,
Yeah, but people are still looking for something,
that's true.
something
Yeah.
interesting, and especially to do with your family. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, spring is fine, I guess, but you know, it's a it's a trip. So maybe it'll do better once it hits streaming, right? They already got their tax write off, so
Yes. Yeah. One thing I do appreciate is that about the movie is that they're not relying on Bugs Bunny, but rather Porky Pig and Daffy. Because technically, I mean, Porky Pig is sort of the original Looney Tune out of the classic bunch, and then Daffy Duck came afterwards, and then it was Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is like we think Looney Tunes. A lot of people think Bugs Bunny is sort of the mascot, but
I mean he is, but you're right. He was the first though. He
yeah,
was,
Porky Pig was technically
yeah.
like the first modern Looney Tune, and then it was Daffy, and then it was everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, and at the time it was pretty segmented, so there wasn't even the thought of like a flagship character per se. It was
I
really,
mean, that's true. Yeah, I'm just
really
saying.
them, a lot of remnants from the Disney studio going into Warner Brothers and saying, "Let's make some great cartoons," and they did. A
Yeah,
lot of them made for adults. A lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of these cartoons were made for adults. They were not for kids,
yeah,
And so what drove it was just ideas. It's like, hey, what if, and a lot of it was commentary on current times, right? Current day Hollywood, and that's why you see a lot of these classic Looney Tune cartoons, and they have celebrity cameos, right? Humphrey
yeah,
Bogart or something, right?
yeah,
So yeah, it's kind of fascinating when you look at, and then later years later, and like my generation, basically, probably started in the late '60s, but you start to get them re-released for television, right? And they're heavily, heavily edited down, right? So a
oh
lot
yeah,
of questionable, what we will find questionable today, right? Racist commentary, hypersexual comments. A lot of things like that gets kind of watered down and edited and spliced and diced, right?
Yeah.
But it created this sort of snowball of Looney Tunes, right? And I remember as a kid, it was Merry Melodies. That was another, in the same vein, right? And same characters though, Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, but like the classic versions. And so now it's evolved into this Looney Tunes. I think sparked mainly by the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show, right? I remember that as a kid, and that kind of created this cavalcade of characters, right? I say that 5 times, cavalcade of characters. But where it's the Broadway themed, type of deal where everyone's a performer and everyone's got their stick, and
Yeah.
and then you get these animated shorts, right, which were really just edited, full length episodes, edited down, right? Mainly because of not just time, but also because of content, right?
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, right, to see how it's evolved into what it is today, where there are these beloved characters similar to the Muppets, right? But the difference is the Muppets were always the Muppets, right? They were always for family friendly for kids, you know. But Looney Tunes not initially, right there, But it evolved into what it is today, which is fine. I mean, because I think what it is today is still a beautiful thing. It's still fun, right? The characters are still beloved characters. So if they do it right. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like Scooby Doo, right? There's been so many iterations of Scooby Doo, and it's so far removed from what it was originally. Right?
Well, I mean,
with the exception of the mystery aspect, but even that gets kind of put in the back seat to other things, other themes, and so it's kind of fascinating to see, how these shows have evolved into what they are today, compared to where they started.
I mean, I would say Scooby Doo. I mean, I would say the general premise of Scooby Doo is pretty consistent throughout the years. I would say the only thing that really changes is the tone.
Definitely the tone and the feel, leaning more heavily. Well, it's always leaning into comedy, but
right. But if you've watched Mystery,
I don't know. It's different, I guess.
Well, not. I mean, there's always a mystery. I mean, that's. I mean, you can't have Scooby without mystery. My point is that with the original Scooby Doo, it was pretty like lighthearted. You always caught the bad guy at the end, as opposed to like the most recent. Well, at the time, the most recent show was Mystery Incorporated, right? There was like this overarching conspiracy between episodes, right? With the town.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Versus the show that came afterwards.
Yeah.
So there was always a mystery. It just the tone changed to where it became more serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely. I think originally it just came off as more of a tongue-in-cheek stick type of deal, right?
Well, obviously, all the monsters were fake, right? But then even
all
with
the monsters, that's the key. All the monsters were fake.
But then, like in the '90s, right? When the movie came out, the first movie came out, Zombie Island. All of a sudden, all the monsters were real, right? So there was a lot more at stake. There was
actually, even prior to that, with in the late '80s, there was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo.
Yeah, but that was still played up for laughs.
No, but I'm just saying, but the monsters were real. They were real.
Oh yeah, they were real ghosts. Yeah,
13 ghosts or demons or spirits or whatever. They had to, get them back into the little whatever it was, the coffin or chest, and Scrappy Doo was part of it. When he was kind of still likable as a character, but yeah, it's evolved quite a bit. Yeah, you're right. They haven't deviated too far from. Which is nice.
The major thing that usually changes is just like the tone and the atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely the tone. I like when they go more classic. When they try to give like the retro vibe. That's always nice. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's Warner Brothers still, right? So I don't know. It seems like they, when it comes to animation, at least they tend to handle their IPs pretty well. Um,
I mean, I feel like they haven't been handling Looney Tunes well because, like I said,
well, yeah,
everything
Looney
that they
Tunes.
try to do with Looney Tunes, it gets shut down, or it doesn't do.
Well, I think because I don't know. I think they try too hard to update it, and I don't think it needs to be updated. I think what they need to do is just stick with what works, and which is what's always worked, which is the slapstick, tongue-in-cheek comedy, and with that, and now it's a retro
Sure, but
feel.
that really hasn't changed much. Like the
No,
only
but
real
what I'm saying
time,
is they do too much current day reference is what I'm saying, and not that they have never done that, but it's kind of like you don't have to do that. Just do the funny stuff,
I mean, if you're
like
talking with the context of Looney Tunes, then the only real updated, quote unquote, update we've gotten to Looney Tunes was the Looney Tunes show, and that turned, uh, basically just turned the Looney Tunes into Seinfeld. Which, whether you like it or not, like if you actually watch the show, there's still
yeah,
plenty of slapstick
yeah,
in
it
the
wasn't
show.
bad. It's just, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, why are you trying to be current? Like, for example, I think a great attempt was with Steven Spielberg's Tiny Toons Adventures, right? That was a great attempt at kind of rebooting it where it's a new generation, right?
Yeah,
And it was fun. It was fun and it was funny. And you had a lot of great ideas that were new, right? Like Pinky and the Brain, like it's like, okay, this is great. Like we got new characters now. We got a new stick, so to speak. And but we still got some homage to the classic stuff, right? Babs and Bugs, right? And that was nice. And I just feel like maybe they should have took that and kind of ran with it more, you know. And of course, the Warner family, right? The Warner,
the Animaniacs.
yeah, the Animaniacs. That was fun. Um, I don't know. I kind of feel like, yeah, like why didn't you kind of run with that? And then you can start bringing in some of the more classic guys through like movies and things like that. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I think part of it is because they're leading with the idea of profit versus creativity, right? Like, let's really do something that's fun that the fans will love, and then that by extension will make us money. Versus, what can we do to make money? Oh, let's put out a movie, and and it could be we'll release it this time of year, and it'll be this, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's part of why it's you know, and the same with the shows. Like they're not really putting their best foot forward.
I mean, I disagree. I mean, if you actually watch the Looney Tunes show, and I think you like the Looney Tunes show. Um,
That's what I'm saying.
it's
I did
really,
like it. I didn't have a problem with it. That's my point. It wasn't bad, but I don't think they really put the effort into really building it. You know, like giving it great writing and like like I don't know. It's there was no passion behind it. And sometimes part of it
I just I
is is
disagree.
the
There's a
timing.
lot of, like, there was definitely, like, the thing with the Looney Tunes show is that even though it was like in more like sitcom type of format, all of the characters were pretty true to who they are in the
I agree. I'm not denying
so
it. I'm just saying
I know, but you're saying that they didn't put their best foot forward,
I
and
don't
it's
think they
like,
did. No, because I think they rested too much on the current day reference, which even at the time was still kind of passe, right? It's like the whole Seinfeld thing. While Seinfeld is still very popular, it's not current day, and it's not even like, I don't know. It's like it's a trope, so use it as a trope, but you don't turn it into a whole series. It's an episode, right? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Like, you don't build a series on doing a cliche trope of something that's already been cliched, right? It's already been made fun of and mimicked by everybody else. You understand? Like, you build a show and you do it like I said, like with Animaniacs and Looney Tunes. I mean, the Tiny Toons. They didn't rest on just the one that we're gonna be like this show. They made fun of a current day show, but they didn't build a whole show on that. It was a skit. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why I say wasn't passion. It was like they kind of rested on that idea and thought, oh, we could just ride that. And it's like, well, yeah, no, you don't ride that. You poke fun of it and have fun with it. Then you cut it off and you move on to something else. That's why I say there was a passion, because there was no creativity. They weren't like trying to say, let's go beyond. Right. And that's all I'm talking about. Is it's like what Steven Spielberg did was something where he really just was having fun. Him and his team were having fun with these characters by paying homage to the classics, and then but still kind of mixing it up with something new. And that's why we got actually new characters. You see what I'm saying? That were fun. Like, a lot of people grew up watching that stuff and they still harken back to it. Like, oh man, the Tiny Toons were awesome. Like, and the problem was they just didn't keep it going, because a part of it is Steven Spielberg left because I think he found them too stifling. They wouldn't let him do what he wanted to do. That was a big part of it. Like with Freakazoid, right? We got Freakazoid out of that. Right, Freakazoid was pretty hilarious, right? It was a wacky show, and even that was tame compared to what they really wanted to do, and that's kind of what I'm saying. And that stuff could work if you kind of cut the leash, so to speak, and let creators kind of create, and let the creativity lead. You still want to address markets, right? That's important, but then you gotta let the creativity lead, though. And that will bring in the profits, right? Versus thinking what's profitable, and it's a lot of kind of executive input, almost too much. Like some is probably warranted, and I think that's part of the reason why stuff don't always work, because it's too heavy-handed from the executive side, right? Like just business marketing and or lack thereof in this case, right? Versus creators saying, "Oh, this would be great if we did this." Why? Because generally speaking, creators should represent their market, the market you're trying to appeal to, in some way, whether it's literal or in regards to disposition, mindset, and understanding, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the higher ups don't trust that anymore, because and part of it, like I said, there's a lot more behind it, like the financials, right, and different things. And then there's the agenda, and part of it, a lot of times when things aren't agenda driven, like I don't think the day the Earth blew up is agenda driven, right? I think it's literally a team saying, "Hey, it would be awesome to do this story," but then there's others who are gatekeepers. Do you understand? Who are like, "Well, it doesn't have the agenda in it, so we're not going to give it a whole lot of support. We're not going to," you follow what I'm saying? So I think that's part of it too. Like I think there's a lot of factors involved. So why things that are objectively good, right, still don't do as well as they should do, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's kind of the state of affairs right now. But there's some gems out there, Speaking of which, segue into there's a show I've been watching called Common Side Effects. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, you talked about it last time. I've seen clips of it online, or at least a trailer, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet.
Okay, I was going to play the trailer real quick. I don't think we played it yet, have we?
No.
Okay, so I was going to play the trailer. But it's a show I've been watching, and it's twofold. So
this company, your company.
Sorry. Is that too loud?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I thought it was loud because it's loud in my ears, so that's why. So I'm gonna knock it down a little bit. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Was destroyed.
Please.
Let me finish.
Look, buddy, we're not doing this.
Hold
okay.
What if there were a medicine that could heal almost anything, but they didn't want you to know about it?
Sorry, who's they?
This guy's name is Marshall Cuso. Got a monopoly on some kind of new drug, something very powerful. They want it nipped in the bud.
So who do we got?
I have one free team. Capano, is celery Carrot's cousin or a sibling?
Huh.
You don't have to answer right away. Marshall Cuso! Does this stuff even work? Is this just a trick? Where even are you?
Hey, do you like movies? Yeah.
shakeups are coming. If I'm going down, you're going down.
Justifiable force is authorized.
Marshall, I think I have to tell you something.
You hungry, bud? We'll grab a burger when we're out of the city. I know. Hold the patty, extra lettuce.
Yeah, so common side effects. You saw it's on Max, but it's also on Adult Swim. And if you get the app, the Adult Swim app, you can watch it for free with commercials. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't bothered with Max because I'm tired of it. So I liked it for a bit, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems so unstable most of the time. Like shows don't stay, even shows that are pretty decent, they don't continue them. They don't. And I'm hoping this one gets a continuation. But so far, there's a whole season.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, the animation's not bad. Kind of tired of the the character design. It's like this kind of loose, really hyper stylized, but it's okay. It actually kind of works for the kind of story it is, so I don't mind it. Actually, it's pretty decent, but the story itself is actually pretty compelling, and it comes off as very progressive, right? And it is. It's very progressive, but not to a point of absurdity, I guess, if you will. At least the progressive characters in the story are presented. Many of them are extremely progressive, right? And they're absurd, right? But they're presented as they are. They are absurd, like they are. So they're not trying to be painted as something, heroic per se. Like, and even this character he's not a perfect character, but he's an interesting character for sure. But the premise, as you can see, is that he finds this mushroom, and it can pretty much heal anything, right? It literally, even to the point of bringing someone back from death if they're recently die.
Wait, does that happen in the show?
Yeah, it happens several times in the show. Yeah, and it's kind of fascinating.
So he found a Mario mushroom, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He's found a Mario mushroom, and I mean, he's like a I guess he's definitely an environmentalist, right? But he's what's the word I'm looking for? Ecologist, and I forgot the term. Like it's a mushroom expert. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
But he and he's generally educated in botany, bioscience, things like that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's kind of a hippie-ish guy, right? He's definitely very hippie, chill, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of an interesting contrast between his persona, but the actual course of events that occur, the things he has to do, are quite the opposite in many ways, right? So it's a nice dynamic actually. And I think, and the story, it tries to kind of throw you off a little bit, where they present him like something more, right, and especially something more dangerous. Then you find out like, oh, yeah, okay, like there's a reason behind why he's perceived this way, right? So it's kind of funny. Some decent moments. It's very dry humor, right? You saw like with the agents, which she's asking about carrots and stuff. Like it's silly stuff like that. So it kind of helps. But the characters, they grow on you. You tend to like them after a while. You're like, yeah, okay, and you want to see where it goes, right? How things turn out for them. But there's a particular scene that occurs later in the series. So the gist is that this mushroom, he discovers it. He's protesting pharmaceutical companies, right? He's an avid critic, of course, and he attends like one of these pharmaceutical conventions or conferences.
Yeah,
a particular company is speaking, a CEO, and he calls them out and say, "Hey, you guys are destroying the rainforest, and you're doing this and that. You're not being honest with the public, et cetera, right?" And they kick him out, of course. But in the process, one of his high school friends a girl that he was kind of crushing on, whatever that and I guess she was kind of crushing on him too. Anyway, but she overhears and sees him and she recognizes him. She's like, "Oh, I know that guy, right?" But she doesn't say anything because he's clearly an activist, right? And she works for the pharmaceutical company, right? She's like a top executive, like a executive assistant or something. So, but she meets up with him later, and she hides the fact that she works for the pharmaceutical company. And they start talking and they reminisce. But then uh, he finally admits to her, like, "Hey, like, can I trust you? Because I got something big, right?" And he shows her the mushroom. Then he grabs a bird, like a pigeon, and kills it, right? Like breaks his neck. She's like, "What the?" Right? And then she's like, "Just a minute," and he gives it a little bit of the mushroom,
Yeah.
and it just wakes up. It's fine, and it flies away. And so she's obviously blown away, like, "What the heck? Like, what's going on, right?" And he's like, "I got something big. Like, this can change everything." And of course, he's looking at it from a very optimistic, like, this could make the world better, right? This is going to make life better for everybody. And she's looking at it like, well, just 5 minutes ago, her boss was telling her the company's losing money and we need something big. You understand? so,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to advance my career. But he's looking at it like we can save the world. So, because his goal is he's just going to grow it, figure out how to grow it, right? And just give it to people. That's literally, and you see that throughout the series. There's incidents that occur around it. Like there's one scene where somebody gets in a car accident and they actually die, right? Like it happens to be on the same highway. So he sees the accident, the guy's like upside down in his car and he's clearly dying. And so he stops to help him and he just pulls out a piece of mushroom and gives it to him. It's just like, what do I do, right? Like I can't just let him die, right? So he gives him, and the guy survives, right? And he doesn't take any credit; he just disappears, And he keeps driving. And later on, the guy's on the news. And he's like, "Yeah, it was like a miracle. He was like an angel. This guy, he was, he had a beard, and all this, He's like, his mind is one, like he's all like deep now all of a sudden. And but he's like, "Oh man, I'm so happy to be alive," and all this kind of stuff. And so it's fascinating, and so you see that it has good intentions, right? But there's entities that are hip to what he's doing.
Yeah.
I know, and that's the DEA, right? And of course the pharmaceutical company, the higher ups, right? And so they're trying.
There was a specific scene you showed me earlier to that point.
Into so they're trying to stop him from, and that's the thing. This is an interesting irony, right?
Yeah.
Is you think that they're trying to get the mushroom for themselves, right? But that's not what's happening, right? And I'll play the scene real quick so you can see what I'm talking about because it's kind of interesting, and it actually surprised me a bit, upon first watching it, because I was like, oh, so it's not what I thought, right? Like it's, you know what I mean? Like they're not trying to do what I thought they were going to do. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna play it.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't?
Just turn it up.
It's all up. You can't hear anything.
Can you play it? No, I don't hear anything. No.
Oh, sorry. Let me think. Let's try. Let me try this real quick. Oh man, Twitter's tripping today.
That's right. I could play it
up a second. You got it? You got that scene?
Yeah, I could pull it up and let us know if you guys, if any of you guys watched it already. Let us know what you guys think about the show. Because I do like the animation. It looks like I appreciate that Adult Swim, because usually adults like cartoon on Adult Swim, they rely on just being extremely absurd and obscene as opposed to actually funny and like adult, unless it's an anime. But this actually seems like an actual adult cartoon. So
it is actually, but it's not in the vein of American Dad or something, or
that's what I mean. Or even
it's actually
Aqua Teen Hunger
quite
Force or
mature.
something.
Yeah, and no shade against those shows.
Yeah, I don't dislike Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I'm just saying, like, not every.
Yeah. Oh, so you got it. Can you play it? See if we can hear it.
I just, whenever someone says Adult Swim cartoon, I immediately assume that it's just obscene and gross.
Yeah, right.
So I don't watch it.
This is not it at all. This is and before you play, to set it up, so that's the like the big boss, right? He's like this pharmaceutical CEO or chairman. He sits on the board of like several pharmaceutical companies.
Okay.
He's working in collusion with. You find out he's spoiler alert. He's working in collusion with the government. So we think it's two separate entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you find out that no, they're actually working in collusion with each other. So the government is actually working with him. And just listen to what he has to say. Go ahead.
Replace everything. Every other drug that we make, every drug our competitors make, replaced. It would replace all the people that you employ, all the scientists, the researchers, even our sales reps, to say nothing of the doctors, the hospitals, the insurance people, all of them out of business.
Well, maybe they should be out of business. We can change the game here, cure everybody.
Richard, you're a medicine salesman. Cure everybody, and you're out of business. Why would anyone work? Here in America, you have to work for your health care. It's a good system, dynamic.
It's not that popular.
The system that has taken such good care of you, it would crumble. Imagine it, Rick. Economies will collapse. Cartels will arise with their own grip on the mushroom, killing rivals. If this mushroom heals wounds, every fight is to the death. Wars will be unimaginably ferocious. You'd kill on a massive scale. Everything black and white. No in between. None of the shade brings life, meaning. Should I be healthy? I'm an occasional drinker. I wake up with a hangover. Balance. Do you want to try to cheat life? Play God?
But,
Richard, you let this go. You'll be rewarded. You didn't worry about this or anything else ever again.
So there you have it. So they're not even trying to get the mushroom to use it.
Well, they're trying to destroy it.
They're trying to get it to destroy. Well, to just hold on to it, to not even use it for anything, just to have it to keep others from getting it.
Well, because if you, I mean, obviously, if you have something, if the one-up mushroom was real, you wouldn't have diseases, which means you wouldn't need doctors, you wouldn't need medicine, you wouldn't need researchers, you wouldn't need any of that stuff.
Right.
His lot of
billion-dollar industry would disappear.
Yeah.
And my mentality is, so what, right? Because that's an absurd logical conclusion, right? Because something else will be there. You understand? In other words, okay, we can extend our lives indefinitely if we just consume this, this mushroom, right? And it's a mushroom. It grows. Mushrooms can grow pretty much anywhere, right? Like, so, and they're not difficult to grow. Similar to marijuana, actually. a lot of people make similar arguments about marijuana and how has all these medicinal properties, and many of which are untapped because the mainstream demonizes it, right? But there are some credible research that shows that, certain aspects of it can be used medicinally, right? There are benefits. And so it's quite interesting, right? You see a few parallels with real life insofar as things like marijuana, right? And how it actually can be used for medicinal purposes for a lot of things, right? But yet it's suppressed and it's made illegal, right? And that's the thing that he didn't touch on. Like, and it was a pretty interesting conversation on X where a lot of people are like, yeah, he's right. And I was me being the contrarian. I was like, well, I disagree. Like, I don't think wars will break out, and no more than what we were already seeing. To be perfectly honest, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be devastating, and I don't think cartels will somehow magically have an edge. And see, it's funny. It's kind of ironic that he makes that statement that cartels will come in and they would have this exclusive access to the mushroom, and you know, uh, they'll be the ones controlling it. And I'm like, well, that's literally what you are.
Right.
Pharmaceutical industry, like, you're a cartel who has exclusive ownership of certain medicines and medications. Just look at the pandemic, right? Only if it was only a couple of 2, 3 companies that had a vaccine, right?
Yeah.
And all of them were subsidized by government, right? You understand? It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Yeah. So there's already cartels controlling, specific medicines that only they have, which drives up the cost, right? Um, so, and you can argue, well, they're not using violence. Well, as far as you know, but they are in collusion with the government, which is violence. Right? The government is violence. So
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Like, people are like, yeah, I'm like, no, he's not right. He's actually quite wrong, because no, we're not going to descend into chaos, what some would say anarchy, because people won't be sick anymore from eating a mushroom. And no, there won't be this exclusive ownership. How would that even be possible unless the government got involved and said it's illegal? Just like
Yeah, that's
with other drugs like marijuana, right?
right.
You understand? It's like that's the only way you'll have, like, the drug war is only a war because the government wants to stop people from buying drugs and selling drugs. That's literally why there's a drug war. There wouldn't be a drug war without government. Like, we've seen the movies where the cartels are at a war with each other. It's kind of like, yeah, but is it really like that? Probably not. Probably not without agitation from law enforcement and government, right? Well, law enforcement is government, so you understand?
Yeah.
Like, most likely, excuse me, they would go, well, look, you stay on your side of the city, I'll stay on my side. Right? You stay on your side of the state, right? Or we'll negotiate. Right? You understand? Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, because nobody wants to just be killed or kill over a plant, right? Like, no one really wants that, right? So you're not going to have all out war per se. You're going to have people go, okay, let's negotiate something. Let's make something work so that we all benefit, right? That's just common sense. Now, yeah, there may be conflict. I'm not saying there won't be conflict, but constant war, probably not likely, right? When you see war, because if that were true, then we would see it now, right? Because there are competing organizations, right? We know they exist, right? Especially here in California.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, so they're not constantly at war. I mean, they're not, right? We're not seeing whole buildings explode and car bombs and
I mean, yeah, obviously not to that extent. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We see incidents, right? But we don't see war. That's my point. Versus with the government, we see war, right? Just look at what's happening now with Ukraine. And that's all over resources, right? So that's over access. I mean, there's a reason why the president negotiated a minerals agreement, right, with Ukraine. It's
Yeah.
resources. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, just like in years past, we had Middle Eastern wars, Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that. Why? Well, was used to be called the petrodollar, right? Oil.
Yeah.
You understand? So there's governments that go to war over resources, right? But private citizens, private groups, they're less likely to. They're more likely to say, well, okay, let's figure out how to work together, right? You don't step on my toes, I won't step on your toes, right? I mean, So and so that's where it kind of is logical, and it's self-serving, obviously, because well, why does he want to discourage this guy? Oh, because it's gonna mess up his industry. It's like he said, you're gonna
Yeah.
mess up my money. You're right.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna lose power, right? And he doesn't want to lose his power, so he's gonna tell you, oh man, it's gonna be anarchy in the streets, man. It's gonna be wars. People are gonna die if you let this out there, and it's gonna be on you. And it's like, no, that's not true, right? Just like they're making marijuana legal, right? In many states, and of course, sadly, certain individuals, mainly conservatives, surprisingly, right? Well, not too surprising. They try to make the argument, oh, car accidents went up exponentially after marijuana was legalized, right? Trying to draw this correlation, which is, it's a flat out lie, but they'll run with it because it reinforces their narrative, and it's disappointing because it's so stupid on its face, right? It's like, so you honestly believe that a law passed and that made car crashes go like all of a sudden people are like, oh, I can smoke crack now, and they just start smoking it while they drive. Right? You understand, like, the logic is idiotic, right? Because we already understand, there was literally an entire campaign that spanned like a decade of say no to drugs and don't drink and drive, right? Remember that? Don't
Yeah,
drink and
but
drive.
did it work?
Friends don't let, to a degree, yeah. It created a culture of that mindset of, yeah, that's why Uber and Lyft do very well on the weekends because people party, they get drunk, but they call an Uber,
I
right?
mean, that's true.
So you understand what I'm saying? Like, so people aren't just gonna automatically. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's where the logic fails, because it's like, okay, you're talking about marijuana, but alcohol is legal, and we still have drunk driving. But you're not railing against alcohol,
Yeah.
right? Oh, we need to ban alcohol, like, and they tried to ban it. Obviously, that's where the deregulation and all that stuff was back in the day. But you understand what I mean? Like, it's a ridiculous reasoning, and it's just there to basically fear monger, like scare people. But the reality is quite the opposite. It's like, no, accidents didn't go up. There's no direct correlation at all, right? Clearly, yes, if someone is high and they're operating equipment, their chances of making mistakes grows. That's common sense. We understand that, right?
Yeah.
Most people, I think, understand that. But that's not a reason to force people or make something illegal, right? A thing illegal versus make the behavior illegal, right? Just like stealing is wrong, but
Right.
we don't ban banks from holding cash, and we don't ban supermarkets or liquor stores from opening up and operating because they might get robbed. Wouldn't that be stupid? We need
Yeah.
to ban like, think about it. There's a bank robbery, right? And then the reaction is we got to ban banks because they keep getting robbed. It'll save lives. That's idiotic, right? You don't ban the thing, you ban the behavior, right? So you say no drinking and driving, right?
Right.
No smoking and driving, right? You understand? Like, that's you punish the behavior, right? That's just common sense. So, but yeah, I digress. But yeah, this show is it's pretty good so far. I highly recommend it. It's a good watch. It's something to get into. It's an unraveling mystery, because the mystery is not the mushroom, right? It's pretty known from the first episode, the mushroom and how, and then by the second or third, you find out how he came about getting it and all this stuff. The
Yeah.
mystery really is in more or less in the scene where you start to see the reasoning behind them trying to suppress the mushroom. Like, that's really where the mystery is. It's like the who and the why, right? And that's really the questions that need to be answered. And I hope they do eventually answer them, of course. But that's really what pulls you in. It's like, okay, well, who's really at the top here, and who's calling the shots, and why? Why are they after him for this mushroom? Why are they like, for example, the question I ask is, why haven't they just assassinated him? Right? It's kind of interesting they haven't, but I think part of it was they had to find out if he had the mushroom and then if there's more, right?
Yeah.
And later you'll see once they kind of figure that out, then they actually do try to kill him, right? Once they realize, okay, we're safe. Like he hasn't made more. There's not other, So and then there's like a third party that's neither government or pharmaceutical company. It's actually more people like him, but their intention seems nefarious, right?
Okay.
Not as altruistic as his intentions, right?
Right.
So, so that's kind of one of the twists too. Is when you find out, oh, well, I thought this person was like him, but they seem to be far more, kind of nefarious, right? They don't, their intentions don't seem pure. So it looks like they might have the same intention as the pharmaceutical companies, where they're trying to control. So that's another dynamic at play that you'll see revealed later in the first season. So, but overall, I give it a solid A. For story, animation is good. Yeah, it's good stuff. I love the pacing, the tone. It's not bad. It's a lot of interesting and funny characters in it as well. So, um, some of them, like for me, I'm like, I know someone like that. that's how I'm watching it going.
That's the best kind of show.
Work with someone like that, yeah. So it's kind of based too. So yeah, it's fun. It's a fun watch. And there's also another twist as well when it comes, because it's called Common Side Effects. So the first thing you think is, of course, over the counter drugs and then prescription drugs, right?
Yeah.
And that's the typical, you see the commercial. Common side effects include, death, broken leg, right? Whatever, right? Insanity. But there's also twists with the mushroom so far as that relates to common side effects. In other words, you think this is a panacea and that, oh, everything is great. Like you take this and life is, but it's like there is a consequence too. So there's a side effect, in other words.
Yeah.
And we'll see. They haven't. There's only been one instance where it seems negative, but I need to see more to find out if it really is. You know what I mean? Like that. I think part of it could be sort of kind of them doing the okey doke, like, oh, I got you. That really wasn't, So we'll see. I have to. Hopefully, I'm hoping there's a season 2. So we'll see. We'll see. They'll answer that question, but there does seem to be a side effect. I won't say what it is though, because it's
okay.
It's very interesting. And I'm like, yo, that's kind of crazy.
I feel like we might have seen it in the trailer already, but
you may have, because it's sad too. It's actually really sad, but overall, I give it an A. I like it.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Highly recommend.
And once again, anybody who's actually already watched the show, let us know what you guys think in the comments
Yeah,
below.
tell us what you think. If you liked it, if you think it stinks, I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out. Because I haven't seen that's like that posting on X was the first time I've seen anyone talk about it. Because Friday I'm like, I don't know if anyone's really watching this show. So people are watching it, and a lot of people replied. There was a lot of interesting replies to that. So there are people watching it. So hopefully it's successful. It's hard to tell with it's streaming on Adult Swim app and on Max. So, but they don't release like their numbers, so you don't know how well something's doing. So who knows if it's actually doing well or if it's if it's a flop. So time will tell. But good stuff. So next on the block, you wanted to talk about Sonic, right?
I always want to talk about Sonic, but there was actually so I feel bad because I haven't been really keeping up with the comic books at all for a few years, and I grew up with the Archie comics, and I know that I've heard good things about the IDW comics.
Yeah,
but I just haven't bothered to really go into full depth with them, just because of time and work and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
recently,
same here.
I found out that they did a crossover with the Justice League and they're just calling it DC X Sonic the Hedgehog, which is kind of lame. I mean, this is clearly just the Justice League, but we'll see what direction.
Well,
We'll
it's
see
the
what direction this goes
DC
to.
universe and Sonic. That's fine. I mean, because it could go beyond the Justice League, right? It can be.
Well, that's why I said we'll see what happens. This is only one issue, but so far it looks pretty cool.
Because that'd be awesome if they bring in the new gods and stuff. That would be interesting.
That would be kind of nuts.
Yo, yeah, that'd be so. Yeah, DC X Sonic actually makes sense.
Well,
Plus, I think doesn't it correlate?
Makes.
Didn't they do DC X Ruby or was that Justice League Ruby?
Yeah, they did a. I mean, same. It's tomato, but yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like maybe they're just sticking with the theme, right?
They did a Justice League X Ruby crossover a few years ago.
X Ruby, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it looks cool. Darkseid invades Sonic's world for some reason for the Chaos Emeralds, and the Justice League get involved. The story is pretty basic, but one of the things one thing I do appreciate is the art is really good. The art is really good in this issue.
Nice.
Bryce Thomas is the artist for this one, and Ian Flynn is the writer. Of course, I mean Ian Flynn. He's been writing for Sonic for a while now, actually. And he's got a pretty good sense of the Sonic character, so I do appreciate Ian Flynn.
Chaos Christ.
And like all the art is really good.
It's nice. Yeah.
All the character interactions. That's another thing. The character interactions are so far really well done. That's kind of the one thing I was kind of worried about is how they would handle, Sonic and friends interacting with the Justice League. Because I don't know, initially I wasn't too excited about the premise, but once I actually, read I ended up reading the first issue a while back, and it's actually pretty good. My personal favorite one. I know the one that sort of went viral online was sort of Shadow's interaction with Batman. So what ends up happening is, Shadow doesn't want to team up with anybody, right? And so Batman decides he's going to talk to him. And immediately right off the bat, he could tell that, something happened to him in his past because, he's Batman. And
well, he's a detective.
I mean, he is a detective, but he literally just didn't have he literally it was just so immediate. But I mean, it's still cool. I mean, it's an appropriate, team up. So obviously they're going to be pairing a Sonic character with each one of the Justice League. And the pairings are pretty obvious, right? You've got Cyborg with Tails, because Tails
is pretty dope too. I like the design.
Yeah, Cyborg's cool. Cyborg does look cool.
Yeah, not bad.
But
that makes sense.
Yeah, Tails is the tech dude. You've got Silver with the Green Lantern, because they both have psychic powers, basically.
Nice.
You've got the Flash with Sonic because, of course, because they have to race at some point. And actually, one of my favorite, I gotta show you one of my favorite panels later, but we've got Amy with Wonder Woman, and we've got Knuckles with Superman, which I think is probably the most appropriate, just because Knuckles, he's the last of his kind, much like Superman is.
And he is the muscle of the group too.
Yeah. So I do think it is a cool pairing. But one of my favorite panels is earlier when Sonic initially meets the Flash. Where Slash, I'm speed personified. And then he goes, well, I'm speed perfected. And then they start racing.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's funny. And like I said, the artwork is really good.
Yeah, this looks beautiful. I really
Yeah.
like it.
You know, nobody looks what's the word I'm looking for? Nobody looks off you know, off model.
Yeah,
Everybody looks
off. It looks, and I like how they drew the Justice League characters. They still have they fit with the Sonic designs very well.
yeah,
They're stylized
absolutely.
just enough without being goofy, so that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I'm pretty excited to see more of this. I was happily surprised. I didn't.
I gotta admit, yeah, I'm kind of shocked that it looks this good. And like I said, I saw that panel with Batman. I thought, okay, if the writing is as good as this in the rest of the series, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was really well done. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll see. I'm hopeful now. Don't disappoint me, DC.
No, I mean, so far this looks awesome. I'm really excited. And for anybody who's read the comic so far, let me know what your favorite part of the comic is. And for anybody who hasn't read it, go buy it. You can buy it online. Buy it at a comic shop near you, obviously.
Yeah.
But right now, I do. Hopefully, I don't. Are they selling it online? They got to be selling it online.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I think if you want to buy it online, Amazon's probably your best bet. Or just
Well, I'm on the DC website.
That's what I was saying.
And it says find a comic shop near you, but I wish they just had an online option.
DC Infinite, right? Don't they have a DC?
Oh,
DC so
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a member, but I canceled mine years ago.
Okay. So. But yeah, check it out when you get a chance. It's really good. Shout out to Ian Flynn. Shout out to Adam Thomas. Shout out to Pablo M. Collar. This is actually really cool cover.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon.
Shout out to Matt Herbst. Yeah, this is really well put together. I might just look for a physical copy. Unfortunately, there's no comic shops near me, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, let us know if you're excited. The reason why I was very skeptical at first was because years ago, Sonic did do a crossover with Image Comics, if I remember correctly. And it was like an Archie Image crossover.
Yeah.
And so it was essentially I'm looking at the cover. Hold on a second. You might recognize some of these heroes. It was essentially a crossover. There we go. So it was Sonic. It was the old. This is from Archie. So it was kind of bad to put it bluntly. It was the Freedom Fighters crossed over with Spawn.
That's
the Max. Yeah. What's his name? Drax? Or Savage? The green guy.
I don't know. I forgot.
Oh, I forgot his name, but yeah, it was all
Savage Dragon.
There we go, Savage Dragon. But yeah, it was Savage Dragon, the Max, Spawn, and a few others I don't recognize. But this was really bad. This was not good. And as you could obviously tell, the Image heroes kind of look weird and goofy. Like Spawn has sort of this crimson chin thing going on.
Well, that's what I was saying about noting with the panels you were showing from the Sonic issue, is you see how the characters look more. They look more stylized, but they didn't go too far, right? It's just right where it works in the Sonic world. And here, clearly, they probably pushed it a little too far.
Yeah,
they went too stylized, probably trying to match the feel of Sonic. And it's, yeah, I mean, just from the cover, at least, I'm like, it's not working very well. Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the key was it a good story?
From what I remember, not really.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, I have to read it again, but I just remember I didn't. Yeah, I just remember it looking really goofy for starters. Because like, look at the Max. He looks terrifying.
Yeah, it looks goofy.
Like not. Yeah, they all just look goofy. They look like.
I mean, it's kind of. I don't know. I haven't read the Max. I mean, it's kind of,
yeah, but we have the cartoon. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But isn't that kind of dark?
It is. It's really dark
for Sonic to have the Max part of this. Characters.
yeah, it was nuts. But
wow, that's kind of surprising to be honest. So I would never think the Max team up with Sonic.
Yeah, this was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was in fact as bonkers as it looks.
I mean, look, the Max is dope.
The Max is cool, but like I don't think the Max really pairs well with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, like that's really dark. Like, wow, that's surprising. Okay, I mean, I would picture the Max.
I mean, it was the 90s.
Like Spawn and the Max, that would be a cool team. I don't know if that's been done.
Well, they team up in this issue, so
with Spawn.
Yeah, he's on the bottom. You see him?
Yeah.
See, I told you.
Yeah,
look at
this
it.
is Spawn. Okay, yeah, this is weird. All right.
Yeah, he looks awful. He looks dumb. He looks like the Crimson Chin with the Spawn mask on. From Timmy Turner. But yeah, that's
I'm not feeling that. Right. I would like to see one with just the Spawn and the Max. I think that would be epic. Like do a team up or something.
Maybe that'd be cool.
I think so. I think that'll work because the tones would coalesce quite well. So
that's true, yeah. But yeah, if you read this Sonic Super Special, let me know how it was. I might be remembering it wrong, but
maybe it was really good. I don't know.
The cover is not selling me. That's all I gotta say. You know, but so I was really happily surprised with the DC crossover. It actually looks good, and it actually, it reads well. So I'm pretty happy that they pulled it off. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how many issues they're gonna do. And if
we get a good run from it, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Yeah, definitely. Please do.
But yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a bit more of it is a more serious thing. It was that Netflix TV show.
Yeah, Adolescence, right?
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, it's not Adolescence.
Yeah, so it was...
That's interesting.
Well, so I didn't know about... I saw some videos online about that showed off like two pictures of like one was the white kid and then the other one was like the black kid. I didn't know the context of it at first. And then I found out, this is a Netflix series.
Yeah.
And
trailer.
Yeah.
Really real quick.
I don't know. I mean,
That's police! What are you looking for? You're making a big mistake. He's only a kid.
Dad, I haven't done anything.
He's a good kid. Jamie, I want you to listen carefully.
What's going on?
I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends then.
Is she dead then?
Why would you ask her?
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it?
Yes.
I haven't done anything.
That's what I was thinking.
You're a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty. He's been accused.
Oh, that's crazy.
What have you done?
Banged by a girl, you sausage.
You're not getting it. What am I not getting? You're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere.
80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
We've done nothing wrong, have we? Hey!
Look at me now!
It's crazy what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid.
So apparently, this is a series. It's
Okay.
a mini series on Netflix.
So, okay, so this is my first time seeing the trailer. So the only thing prior to this, the only thing I knew about it was that the premise of the TV series was based off of, excuse me, a real life story that happened because it takes place in the UK, obviously, right? Where somebody got stabbed, and I'm looking for the story right now, but the issue is that what people are sharing is that the main culprit of the actual real life story that this is based off of. Okay, yeah. So that's the real life culprit.
Sorry, but before we go on, I want to point out that the showrunner, or the co-creator of the series, he doesn't specifically say this person is based off of this person, right? What he says is that there's been a series of crimes committed by young boys against girls, right? So this is one of many crimes that have been committed, right? So that's number one. I just wanted to point that out. And this is his words. I'm just pointing that out for the record that he doesn't come out and specifically say that, oh, it's based off of this specific case. Now, you can argue though that when you read the details of this case and you watch the movie, the series, you're going to see obvious parallels with the cases, right? With the case and the plot of the series, right? Like you're going to see that they're very similar. So no doubt this case, because clearly it was a big deal, it was a high profile case, is an influence on the story. Does that make sense?
Right, but even if that were the case, though, right? Even if he was telling the truth, which I don't think he is,
well, yeah.
What is the common denominator with all these cases? That's what you have to ask.
Well,
and that doesn't. I mean, that sounds mean, but it's like
no. But I agree, and that's really where the point of contention is, right? Is you clearly see it's a black young male, right? But yet you watch the series, you see from the series and the trailer, the main character is a white young male, right? So the question is, why are they race swapping the character, right?
Well, because
what's the intention behind, because we usually see the reverse, right? When it comes to heroes and leads to a story, it's the reverse, right? If it's a traditionally white character, all of a sudden it's a black character or some other minority. Or if it's a male character, all of a sudden now it's a female character, usually a white female or a black female, right? In this case, they said, well, we're going to flip it around, right?
Well, but here's the thing, though. This goes into a larger issue, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to hide the larger issue in the UK of, foreigners coming in and harassing people.
Right.
And
Well, and that's the thing. Now, as far as I've read, I haven't confirmed if this specific person was a foreigner or was a immigrant. Because he may not be. He may be 2 or 3.
well, I get that. I'm not specifically talking
Generations.
about this
Yeah.
person in particular, but
I know, but I'm just saying, given that it's clear that this is probably, a huge factor in the story of the series, right? This particular case, then the question is also, is it avoiding that, like you said, a bigger issue with when it comes to immigration, right? Because then, even if this person isn't right, what about the other cases or those immigrants, right? That's something that has to be investigated a little deeper to get the facts, right? But I agree, and that's kind of the problem, though, whether he's an immigrant or not. It's like, why are you um, race swapping this character when it's completely unnecessary, right? Unless for some reason, in their by their own logic, it is, and then if it is, why? What is that reason, right? And clearly, it is too painless right there, right? One thing I noticed from the trailer, right? I don't know if you caught on to this, but you have a white young male who is being accused of extreme violence against the people, right? Then you you also have, and and all the scenes in the trailer show him being highly emotional, upset, angry, out of control, basically, right? And they show a woman being very calm, right, right, like almost as if she's ignoring him. Then you see a father who's stressed, upset, in just about every scene. He's crying, he's whimpering, he's upset, but you don't see the mother being upset. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you see all the men in that trailer are highly emotional, and pretty much all the women in that trailer are not. They're quite the opposite. And so I think what's happening with this series, I agree with you. It's far deeper than just the idea of the race swap. It's far more nefarious, right? Because it goes into, they mention the manosphere, right? They specifically say manosphere, not red pill, although they do say red pill too. I saw another scene, a clip where he talks about red pill as well. But it's like, so it's also an attempt to somehow draw a parallel between these actions of extreme violence among males, right? And as you see in the trailer, specifically a white male, and the manosphere, which is very, very disingenuous, right? And it's also portraying men, specifically white men, right, and white males, right, as emotional and unstable, right? Just from that trailer, right? So it's very nefarious on many levels, right? And if it, you and a lot of people will choose to not see it, right? They'll say, "Oh, it's just a series, it's just a Netflix show." It's like goes into a conversation I was having earlier this week with someone who they were upset with a YouTuber who she was sort of pulling out these spiritual parallels of Wreck-It Ralph about movies, right? And some of what she said was valid, right? But other conclusions she drew were kind of off. And in my opinion, and I think that was part of what triggered the guy making a comment that it's off, and which is fine, that's fair. But it is fair though to say that there is a deeper meaning when you're looking at Hollywood in general, Hollywood movies, TV shows, etc. That songs, even music, there's always an underlying meaning. Sometimes it's readily available, right, and sometimes it's not, right. Sometimes it requires interpretation, right, and sometimes it's nefarious, and sometimes it's not. It's harmless, right.
Yeah.
But it's important and part of it is what was the intent of the artist, the original artist, right? Especially when it comes to music, right? But even in with movies and television shows, the writers,
Yeah.
but also the director, and the team that actually produced the product. And but it is important to be aware that you know it's never just a movie, it's never just a show, right? There's always something more to it. And the question you have to ask is it something good? Is it something beneficial, something that edifies, or is it something more nefarious, right? It's usually one of those two things. Right?
Yeah.
It's rarely innocuous where it's like nothing, right? There's nothing there. It's just pure entertainment. It happens, I'm sure, but more likely than not, that's not the case. Um, and so that's what I'm seeing with this series. It's called Adolescence. It's on Netflix. Um, and yeah, I do plan to watch it just to see where it goes. And but just based off of what I've seen, the clips and then the trailer, um, I don't think it's trying to paint men in a very, especially white men, in a very positive light. And just looking at the black male characters, it's kind of interesting too. So, but I haven't seen enough to draw a conclusion as to how they're being portrayed. But although I did see a clip with the father and son, and it was actually okay. In the trailer, I don't know if you notice, is one of the cops. I guess he's a detective. He's black, and then he has a son. Right, his son goes to the same school, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's a dynamic there, and there's a clip that I saw where he, it's strained, and it's sort of like the dad trying to understand the son, right? Because it's two different generations and all that. Which I'm like, that's kind of fair. But he kind of connects with the son and offers to take him to lunch and spend time with him, right? Because clearly, I guess that's been an issue, right? Him not being more engaged with his son. So I thought, okay, that's not bad. That's pretty valid, right? So yeah, it'd be interesting to watch the whole thing to get a clear picture of everything, to see sort of where it goes. But yeah, I find it interesting on that, like I said, in that trailer, and it's a trailer. Trailers, what I've learned over the years, trailers are not always reflective of the movie. Not beat for beat. So a trailer can make you think one thing about a movie, and then you watch it and you realize that trailer had nothing to do with the movie. Right? It told a whole different message than what the movie actually is. And that
maybe. I mean, I feel
no, maybe that happens a lot.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is that I guess from my experience, I could usually tell if I'm gonna enjoy a movie from the trailer, whether the trailer is good or not. I mean, or whether the trailer is always going to reflect the movie in some way, even if it's.
Well, of course, it's going to use clips from. What I'm saying though is, like, case in point, Infinity War, right? In the trailer, right up to the movie, the release, they showed the Hulk being the Hulk. They showed the Avengers running down the field in Wakanda towards battle with Thanos. Now, did that happen?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Do we see Hulk? Well, we kind of saw Hulk. Not really, though, right? In the beginning, that was it, right? And he never came back, right? We got, Bruce Banner, So you understand? That's what I'm saying. So the trailer told you one story, but then you went and watched the movie, and it was a different story. And it gave you a completely different impression of that movie. Now, the movie was still good, right? And the trailer did what it's supposed to do. It made you want to go see the movie. That's the point of a trailer. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So trailers don't always depict the movie accurately. That's my point. So with this show, it shows a trailer with a lot of emotional white men, right? A lot. I mean, it's two, right? You understand? So it's like, okay, but is that accurate to the series? Like when you watch the series, is the dad going to always be this wimpy, whiny, crying guy, or is he gonna step up and be different, be more assertive, etc. Right? Like, I don't know. Hopefully that's the case, right? But you follow what I'm saying? Like, the trailer though presents them in a certain way versus what's actually going to happen in the movie, in the series, may be very different, right? Those are probably just little clips, little snippets. And that's the thing. Some of those snippets may not even appear in the series. You understand? Just like with that Infinity War trailer, right? You had scenes that didn't even appear in the movie, but it was in the trailer. And that happens all the time. That happens a lot. So the trailer, yeah, it's going to make you want to see it, but then will you see what you saw in the trailer in the movie? That remains to be seen, right? So not necessarily. So it's kind of it's kind of interesting, but so yeah, I'm curious to watch it and see, because my initial impression is it is trying to paint men in a negative light, specifically Manosphere stuff, and I think it even brings up because for some reason people love to associate Andrew Tate with Manosphere, which I'll be honest, I've never associated him with Manosphere, so not directly. So it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess he's part of that whole red pill stuff. I think he's part of the more nefarious aspects, right? So, which is unfortunate, but yeah, I've never strongly associated him with Manosphere. So it's kind of interesting how from the outside, I guess, when people are looking at it, they conflate everything into one thing versus it's really not one thing. It's like a dynamic, right? And so there's red pill or manosphere things. That's why some people will say manosphere and others will say red pill, right? And they kind of mean sort of two different things, even though they're part of a certain spectrum, right?
I guess. I mean, what are those? I mean, what are those two different things?
Oh, because red pill stems from the Matrix, right?
Oh,
And the
I mean,
Matrix has
yeah.
to do with waking up and seeing reality for what it is. And so that's been ascribed to a lot of things, political landscape, but then it was adapted into these talking points that are relative to what's called manosphere, right? But the problem is with red pill, it's come to be a moniker for sort of this extremism towards women and towards relationships, right? Where it's more like it's all about this sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, sort of a shallow take on the male female dynamic, right? Where it's like all she cares about is money, so get your money and make sure you look good and you're attractive, and in my opinion, it sounds more like how women talk, right? Because like women talk about wanting to be beautiful and attractive to men, and that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, men talking about it just sounds kind of feminine. But anyway, that's my opinion. But I hear a lot of that in red pill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then manosphere isn't about you gotta exercise and so you can be attractive to women and attract a lot of women and make your money. It's like no, manosphere says be a better man. You understand? Be responsible. Be accountable for your actions. When you deal with women, understand women so that you can. Like one channel I watch is great. It's called Manosphere Highlights Daily. I like this channel because one thing he says is protect yourself at all times. In other words, as a man, be on guard for being manipulated, being lied to, being used by women who are not credible women, who are not, and it's like, yeah, that's something like as a father, I tell my sons like, hey, don't deal with certain kinds of women because they're just using you or they're, they don't really care. Find a woman of these qualities, and it's kind of a similar dynamic in the inverse that women say, right? Women will say, stay away from those guys. He's a player. He's a, right. You understand? He plays games and he's this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like he's not husband material. You know, it's like, yeah. So it's the same similar dynamic with the manospheres. They're saying you're looking for a wife, right? This is the kind of qualities you want to look for to find a wife. And that's why I say there it's a spectrum in the sense that they're really not in the same level. One is one extreme, the extreme is marriage, what's called purple pill, right? Where it's like be a man and get married, right? And the red pill is saying be a man and play the field, and it's all about money. It's all about the material. Versus Manosphere says it goes beyond material, right? It's as far as a spiritual dynamic. Does that make sense?
I've never heard the purple pill before. I think.
Yeah, I know, but it's out there. That's what I'm saying, and that's kind of what I'm saying is that's why I just
are there any common side effects to
right? The common side effects of purple pill are responsibility, accountability, a good paying job, a good wife, wonderful children. You know, I mean, you understand. So, but what people do is they lump it all together, you know, and they think it's all the same. And that's what I'm saying. It's not. There's this sort of spectrum of, and you know, commentators and channels and whatnot. Books.
I mean, I don't doubt that's true. I guess my issue is that in the context of like what's happening right now in the UK, where they're already having issues with rape relations because of immigration and stuff like that, and there's been a lot of celebrities and talking heads over there who's been demonizing the UK for being too white, even though
which is absurd. Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard and seen. And yeah, you're right, and that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so nefarious because, and like I said, I have to watch it. I don't want to keep saying like it's, you know, maybe it does in some way. I don't know. I doubt it though. From what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like it's giving you an honest assessment of any of these things.
I mean, already right off the bat, the fact that I mean, it's like it's disingenuous.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And I agree, and that's what I'm saying. It's like there's a certain narrative that these people and these people, I mean, the writers and creators of this content, Netflix executives, etc., that they want to push, right? Because they don't want something that gives you the reality, right? They want it's a bit ironic because we're mentioning Red Pill, and the series mentions it, but it's literally trying to keep you in the Matrix. It's doing the opposite of what the Red Pill does, right? The Red Pill is supposed to take you out of the Matrix, right? And where you see the reality, you see the code, right? They're trying to keep you in it, right? And they're doing it by presenting Red Pill ideas as toxic, right? As dangerous, as you know, the people that adhere to it are emotionally unstable and violent. And you see what I'm saying? You see what's happening, right? And that's kind of my point. That's why it's so nefarious, right? To present it in this way, because it's in the form of entertainment where, you know, a lot of people who may not be familiar with any of this stuff will watch it and go, oh, I wonder if that's that's probably accurate, right? You know, then they hear about it in real life and they go, oh yeah, I saw that was mentioned in that series. You see it, but in the series it was presented as negative. So now your first impression of something is negative. And then when you start, you know, decide to dig deeper, you're already going in with a presupposition that it's negative, right? So versus having a more neutral stance where it's like, oh, I wonder what it is. Let me check it out for myself, right? And that's why it's nefarious and dangerous. And unfortunately, I'm not surprised. But it's also there's a silver lining in that. It also means that you know, what we refer to as men's issues, right, is being put to the forefront more, right? Unfortunately, not in a sympathetic way, but it's still there, and it means that the things that are being talked about in that space, in the manosphere space or the red pill space, right? People are paying attention to. They're seeing it, right? Because now it's permeating into the mainstream. So that's an interesting dynamic, and I think it's positive if and only if someone from those spaces can come into the mainstream intelligently and address those topics, right? And present the reality, right? Versus more matrix. And I think that's the danger is with something like that. Um, you'll start to see someone enter the space who presents themselves as being part of the manosphere or this expert, right? But in reality, they're just more matrix, right? They're what's his name, Agent Smith, right? They're just an Agent Smith. They're not a Neo, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger. Like I've seen it on Dr. Phil is a good example, right, where Dr. Phil sounds very based, right? And you can even say he seems sympathetic to like red pill and manosphere stuff. He's even had red pill guys on his show. Like I forgot his name, Tomasi, I think that's his last name, right? Which is Rollo Tomasi. He's kind of like a long time manosphere person, right? So
I don't know what that is.
He's very controversial, right? So he's had him on his show, but it's like, is that has he had him on the show for a good reason, right? Or you know what I mean? Like, is he there to attack his ideas, or From what I've seen, it's been a respectful conversation. Although, like I said, he's had others counterpoints, right, and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's like I said, like how do they say, the rabbit hole is deep, right, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But on the surface, it appears to be, it's just men being angry and not wanting to be men. And it's like that's really not true, right? And that's what makes it unfortunate is instead of addressing it in an intelligent manner and a truthful manner, right, where you can cover, this is extreme violence against young girls. That's terrible, right? But then you saw in the clip in the trailer, it was a girl beating up this little boy. I think it was the same boy that they ended up accusing, of murder, right? So that's why I'm curious about what the dynamic is in the series. Like, how is this going to play out? Like, was she a bully? Was he fighting back, retaliating? Was he protecting himself? You understand what I mean? Like, that's going to be fascinating to find out. So that's why I'm wondering, if the trailer is one thing, but the series might be something quite different from how the trailer portrays everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm curious. I'll definitely check it out. Hopefully, I can get to it this week, and then we can talk about it next week if you want. So, but yeah, or even do something during the week and review it.
I really don't want to watch the show.
He's still mad about the race swap.
Well, it's not just the waist swap. It's everything. It's everything. It's just
I know, but I want to at least say I watched it so I can, if I'm going to criticize something, I want to know when I'm criticizing. That makes sense.
I mean, I get it. Yeah.
So, like, go beyond the surface, because there may be more in there where I can go, oh, you know what? I thought it was this, but it really wasn't, right? So that's all. But yeah, quite interesting. We'll see. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it is just a more demonization of men, unfortunately. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully maybe it might actually be surprisingly balanced. We'll see. But that's all I have for today. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Go watch Cobra Kai instead.
Yes. Go watch Cobra Kai. The series is finished. It's up to 6 seasons. It's still on Netflix. It's awesome. Some of the best streaming TV, whatever you want to call it, in a while. And very satisfying ending. I highly recommend it. Go watch it. Like, don't go support it, because support what's good. Right? You've heard the term "eat the meat and spit out the bones," right? it's like support what's good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's out there. It's it's Netflix, and Netflix is kind of garbage sometimes. Especially when you get into the ownership and all that. It is. Some garbage people working there, but every so often something good makes it through, right? And this is one of those things that's good, genuinely good. So check it out and support it. And plus, you'll be doing yourself a favor because it's very entertaining, and
Oh yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it. So but that's all I have. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking us out today. We appreciate it. Go to our site, supergalacticfantastic.com. Join our email list and get a free 12-page digital comic. And and tell us how you like it. If you like it, if you don't like it, tell us. We want to give you something great. So we appreciate any feedback. Check out the site too. We did some redesigns, got some new artwork there. So check that out as well. And once again, let us know. Just go to my Twitter at the Alphatron or at Rocket Brown, and hit us up. Tell us what you think, and we appreciate your support. And that's all I have today. Have a super galactic Saturday.
We'll see you around.